6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Amy, I love the costume.
Whoa.
So
We're
good.
early. We're early over here. I gotta get Grace. I gotta get Grace on my schedule. I get like a 1 or 2 minute grace period, right, Amy? I always get that little bit. Well, actually, sometimes it's 10 minutes, isn't it, Amy?
You're cursing, really.
You can't hear me?
No, you're cursing. We can hear you, but that's your great.
Oh, you
Here's
scared
your
me there.
costume. Actually, great mask.
Thank you. I just got this mask at Target last night. It was a really good one. It was on sale too. 75% off. 75% off. And it could be the tired mask that I'm wearing. The tired mask. I still
You're rocking it
well,
real good, though.
I cannot I am struggling with my sleep schedule. I cannot get myself back on a sleep schedule from being back from the Philippines. And but we are working through it. We are working through it somehow, some way. But so good morning, everybody. Good morning to you all. Happy Figured Out Friday. It's been a while since I've actually it feels like 2 weeks, which I think it is, since I've actually been on leading. And then next week I go to Florida, so I'll be out for a couple more days for the Rise conference for my real estate company. So I'm excited to be down in Orlando for a couple days, but I will still be here in some capacity in some way. So it's good to be on Figured Out Friday. Good morning to everybody on here. And our guest, him and I spoke a couple weeks ago, and unfortunately he was sick, and so he was under the weather when we met last time. And during our Justin's eyes conversation that we had several weeks ago, the unfortunate thing was taking place that our world was just going through a very challenging time with the death of Charlie Kirk, and him and I were talking about that at a very, I feel like a very not intense level, but really just unpacking it and what it is on a spiritual level and the movement. And he actually went down to the service when we were speaking. He was going down to it, and I saw the pictures online. I can't even imagine the magnitude of what it was at the time period of everything that I was seeing online and on TV. But just I've known Justin now for some time. He is on one of our not podcast, one of our groups that we have that we do coaching with Dan. Amy was on it as well, and just had some really we just it's a bunch of authors, speakers, high level thinkers, like minded people. And I've known him for some time, but we've never really engaged the way we did. And I was just like, brother, I need to have you on our show. You ever get those moments all where you're just like, I need to be around this person. I need to talk to this person more. Well, he is one of them. He's got an entire basketball team. All the guy's got many kids. I was just like floored away on how good he looks and how young he looks, as many kids he has with his family. And we're going to dive into his family. And I was like, damn, I have nothing to complain about with 2 kids. And so I was like, you are definitely on the move constantly all the time. So guys, give me some love. Put some 5s in the chat for our main man, Mr. Justin. Good morning to you, brother. On the West Coast too.
Yeah, bright and early. Brock, such a pleasure to be here. It's so funny. Last time we had this scheduled, I was super sick, and I made the mistake of taking NyQuil the night before. I woke up not knowing what universe I was in, with messages saying, "Hey, are you joining us today?" I was like mortified, like, "Oh my goodness, please forgive me." I drank NyQuil last night. I'm lost in space. So thankfully
I'm like that too, man. I had to take some nighttime medicine on the plane when I was flying to the Philippines. I was like a nervous wreck because I was like, I just turned into like a weirdo. Like I was just like, I don't know what day it is. Like I was like, am I still on this plane? So I get it when you take that stuff.
Yeah, super happy to be here though, Brock. The feeling's very mutual. When you find somebody who has a lot, with whom you have a lot in common outside of business, it's really fun to talk about business because you know that there's a common kind of foundation of faith and family, and things to us that matters, that that really matters. So,
well, I appreciate you being on here and not taking NyQuil the night before. So tell everybody a little bit about you. Give us kind of that 10,000-foot overview, the person you are, the family man that you are, and just so people can get to know you.
Yeah, you bet. Born in, I shouldn't say born, I was raised in Oregon. So again, opposite side of the coast of many of you, and raised by an entrepreneurial family. Always believed that that entrepreneurship is the true American dream, right? So was raised believing that. Was a high-end home builder for about 8 years, and met my wife in that process. And she comes from a family of 7 children. And I said, I think big families are beautiful. I want to have a big family. And
Right.
so she did as well. And here we are, 6 kids later. My oldest is a freshman in college, and my youngest, it will be 8 tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but next month, I should say. So yeah, we're raising a brood, and 4 girls, 2 boys. One of them ran in the district cross country championship yesterday. So we are running literally every which way. My
Congrats on
passion,
that. No pun
yeah,
intended.
yeah, right. And my after the home building industry did what it did in 2008, I realized my passion was not building homes, but it was building businesses. It wasn't developing land, it was developing people. So I set out to find, what can I do that isn't managing subcontractors, that would really give me deeper meaning and purpose. And was still in love with the real estate industry. I'd done a number of flips, and was actually recruited into the title industry. And I felt like I'd be there for a short time. I was hired in kind of on a special project to launch a large Fortune 500 title company into a new market. They felt like, hey, with your builder background, I think you can give us some unique strategy. Was there for almost 7 years, which I think surprised me and others as well. Because what I did is I
I
really,
surprised you too. It's funny how
yeah, I mean,
you
I
surprised
mean,
me
I'm an,
even.
yeah, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So, but what I realized is that put me knee to knee all day, every day with real estate agents. My dad was a real estate agent. My stepmom was, but I'd never been that close to the real estate industry. And with my home builder background, it was really fascinating to realize that some of the same challenges that I faced, real estate agents faced. And so I dug into that, and I started to kind of pull out of my toolbox, so to speak, things that I had learned as a home builder that that served me really well to help me to build a great pipeline. And so I began then to teach those to real estate agents. Eventually, authored a book on it and left to form a coaching company, and now a technology company that facilitates those principles. So anyway, that's a little bit of a background. I mean, at the core of all of it is faith, family is the meaning and the purpose behind it. And then of course, I love what I get to do for business, because it's serving this incredible community of real estate agents. So
And that's the thing. Well, when I was listening to your story earlier, in just hearing it again today, sometimes we have to go through a process. Like you said, it surprised me. I stayed in this for a while, stayed in here sometimes a little bit longer than what I wanted. And you don't know sometimes of where it is that you're going and growing through. And I'm looking at Robin over here.
so am I.
It's Halloween, so we gotta get a little
Robin,
get some
can
of
you
our
sit
big.
down in that thing, or do you have to stand up all day? I'm so I'm so impressed. You're like a house, a sold
Yeah.
house.
You
Unbelievable.
never know what you're gonna get, Justin. You never gonna know what you're gonna get on
That
Figured
is
Out Friday. What we
that
got
exceeded
here.
my expectations right there, Robin. That is amazing. Hats off.
Way to go, Robin. Um, yeah, happy Halloween, everybody. Happy Halloween. Um, So yeah, like we never know what the process and where we're going through and what we're, where it really is. I forgot Robin will tell me the Bible verse, but man, I think Diane knows it too. But my man plans and God laughs. And it's probably not even a Bible verse, but I just sometimes I get so immersed into my plan, my agenda, and then God's like, "Well, I'm going to take you here, but let me just tell you, there's a couple different things we're going to go with it." And hearing your story, it really resonates with me. And so, as we pivot and transition into our Figured Out Friday, our main themes are your defining moments. So moments in your life where, really, I don't want to say take a turn, but you had that moment where you reflect back, and it's about those time periods where, like, I don't have a roadmap. We don't have an owner's manual. All we have is faith. All we have is hope. All we have is showing up each and every day. Take us back to a moment or a time period where you had a defining moment in your life that you could share with our audience here this morning on a time period where you really had to figure it out and you had that defining moment.
Yeah, it's really been formative for my career, what I'm going to share with you. But I had um, my home building business, right? I had left my employer. I was working for a luxury custom home builder. He trained me on how to build a beautiful luxury custom home. And I felt confident. And his focus was really moving towards land development. I was like, you know what? I need to just go do this on my own. With his blessing, I left, thinking that it would be as easy to fill a pipeline as he had made it appear. Maybe some of you have had that feeling before, where it's like, hey, I'm gonna get my real estate license. Like, I see what they do, right? I bought a home before. I can show people homes. I got great customer service. And you're like, yes, the operational side of being a real estate agent, I got that. But then you're like, oh wait, there's this whole other side of the business, which is called actually generating new opportunities, where you're like, oh, okay. Apparently that's a whole full-time job, to find opportunities so that then I can serve them. And that was me as a home builder. I mean, I had a good enough pipeline, but I was like, I got to figure this out on not just Friday. I got to figure it out on every day of the week, because
Right.
like these projects that I'm working on, I can see the end of them and I don't have new projects coming in. And so I got coached by actually a really well-known coach in the real estate industry. Those obviously home building and real estate are kind of overlapping. And he taught me to do notes, calls, and pop buys. Maybe some of you know who that coach is. Love the man. I think he's an incredible coach. But what I realized is that my personal network was not referring $1 to $2 million construction projects, right? They were 25 years old, like me, right? They're like, hey, yeah, I would refer you all day long, but I'm just buying my first house. I don't know about a $2 million construction project. And I was like, oh, you're right. My network, they love me, but they can't help me, right? Maybe some of you felt that way before, of like, hey, yeah, my network, they're all about helping me, but they don't have they don't know enough people that are buying and selling homes right now to help me. So now what? Right? And I think oftentimes when you're a relationship based person, you kind of have a moment of identity crisis. You're like, but I work by referral, but my network isn't able to refer me consistent with my ambition. So now what? I guess I pick up the phone and start cold calling. I
Mm.
guess I start buying internet leads. And it's like, that's not really why I got into this business. It's because I have the heart of a teacher, right? And I want to serve people. I don't want to have, 97 out of 100 calls say no, 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 no. Like that's just not how I just, want to do this. And hats off to those who do it that way. But maybe if you're a bit like me, maybe my skin is a little thinner than that, and I'm like, I just don't like having everyone mad at me all day, right? Hoping to find those opportunities. And again, that's maybe a kind of harsh perspective of prospecting. But I
No,
also,
I love what you did, just unpacking that, hearing that, like you go through it. And I tell people all the time, it's like who you rubbing elbows with, who's your environment, where you're at, and what you're doing. Like I was a school teacher. So a lot of my business at the time period of being a school teacher, you know, we were buying 200, $300,000 homes. I wanted the $1 million homes, but I wasn't in the $1 million environments. I wasn't in those areas. So my network is sometimes my net worth. And you got to like look at that to be able to see, okay, what am I going to do to shift that? How do I increase my price point? Yeah. And so, the cold calling and all that stuff is just like, yeah, but that doesn't sound very exciting. And doing that, like you said, is like 97 no's to hope and pray on my threes that they're going to do something is not. And I loved how you said, I don't know if that's why I got into this. Like you were reflecting on that. And many of us on here might be reflecting on their position, their job, and where they're at. And like, what the hell am I doing? Like, is this why I got in here? And I love your next part here and where you started to take action on it. So sorry, I get excited when I hear things, and obviously I coach a lot of you on here where I'm like, lean into what he's about to say here.
So at that point, again, I'm trying to figure out how do I do this? And there were local networking groups that I was being invited to, right? Of course, kind of the more open ones like, like the Chamber of Commerce. I thought, okay, let's go make some business connections. And I got invited to be a part of a BNI chapter. And it was a little better experience than my network in the sense that there were business people in the room, but 90% of them, again, had no connection to the real estate industry, right? You had people that were, selling essential oils and chiropractors and, right? Good people genuinely wanted me to win, but they just weren't talking real estate, right? That just wasn't their thing. So I'd show up every Friday morning. And finally, I realized like, okay, my personal network isn't producing at the level I need it to. This local networking group, I think maybe has some potential, but again, different than maybe you all. I was building $1 million luxury custom homes, right? And BNI chapters don't typically refer that, right? And I thought, okay, and it was this moment of clarity, Brock, where I realized that I didn't need to have a giant personal sphere. I didn't even need to have a giant business, like professional sphere. I just needed to have the right one. So I realized,
amen. Say that again. Say that again. Everybody listen up to that, because we get so immersed. How many views? See, I'm going to put it in a way for you all. How many views did I get? How many people like my stuff? How many followers on Facebook? How many people on my Instagram? I need millions and millions of people. So listen again to what he just said.
I didn't need to have a giant personal sphere or professional sphere. I just needed to have the right one. And what I realized is that there were architects as a home builder who all day, every day, they were serving people who were going to need to build a home, right? It's like, it's kind of obvious, but it hadn't been up to that point. Is it, if I had a handful of architects, like less than a handful, like even a couple who were regularly introducing me to new clients, that would be enough, right? And so what I realized, and I kind of used the metaphor that later became the title of my book, is that these architects were just upstream from me. Okay, so you picture a stream and picture a whole bunch of people fishing in that stream. Those are your competitors, right? Think of the other real estate agents when you drive down your own neighborhood and you're seeing signs that aren't yours and you're like, dang it, right? It's like those people are fishing in my stream. That's my fishing hole. What are you doing with your line and your bait in my fishing hole? Dang it, how did I miss that one, right? We oftentimes feel this way. Or it really hurts when it's a friend or a family, right? Who does it? It's like, and all of a sudden there's more lines in the water and you're like, there are not many fish, right? These dang interest rates. And you're like, this is just a crowded fishing hole. Like, what do I do here, right? And that's exactly how I felt as a home builder. And then I had this aha of like, wait a minute. There are professionals right now who are serving clients that I would love to serve next. They're just upstream, right? They're actually handling those fish that I need. And if I were to not get in the river and swim upstream, that sounds hard, but to actually just walk upstream, just walk upstream a little bit, get up from where all the other competitors are at and build an alliance with that other professional from a different industry. Okay. And now rather than fishing amongst a crowded shoreline and my line getting tangled with everyone else's, right? I simply build a relationship with the right person and they're already pulling those fish out of the water and they just hand them to me. Right. And so that was the aha, kind of the turning point in my career, where it was like, wait a minute, this doesn't have to be this hard, right? It's just about finesse. It's about strategy. It's about having the right network. And I realized that it wasn't a new concept for a builder to court an architect, just like it's probably not a new process. Like it's not a new concept for real estate agents to court maybe a lender for opportunities, right? Or a financial advisor or an estate attorney or a probate attorney. Like those aren't uncommon. Okay. But I realized that the strategy by which most people go about doing it is common, and therefore it doesn't work very well. So as a builder, for example, I said I had these new business cards. I was so proud of them. Walked into an architect's office and said, "Hey, is Ken in?" Ken Harris was the architect. He's busy. Can I tell him who's here? Yeah, I'm Justin. I'm with Evergreen Custom, luxury home builder. She's like, okay, let me see. She's like, do you have an appointment? And that moment I was like, I should have probably had an appointment. He comes out, he listens to my little dog and pony show, takes, a stack of cards that I'd given him. Of course, never heard from him again. I showed up in Ken's world as a solicitor. Hey, Ken, I'm here to get something from you. You've worked really hard for your clients, and I'm hoping that you'll just give them to me, right?
I love how you say that. I hate to cut you off, but I want to make sure people understand this, because so many people do this, is that they come in with the intentions of selfish needs instead of pouring value into people. And you said it perfectly. You came in as a soliciting person, just like so many people. You want to separate and elevate yourself all? You do exactly what Justin's going to share with you, because that is the mistake. So many people come in. It's like, oh, what about me? What about me? This is what I want. This is what I need. Let me help you to do. Let me give you. I want to show you homes. I want to do that. It's like, no, you got to give value. You got to pour. You got to separate yourself from the pack. John Maxwell does a big thing of the people pile. How do you remove yourself from the people pile to elevate yourself at a different level? So that's a really, really good point on what he just said right here, when you're leaning in right now, because many of us do this repetition of like, Brock, I'm texting, Brock, I'm calling, Brock, I'm emailing, Brock, I'm now door knocking. Yeah, but you're just asking for your own selfish needs instead of giving value of where you can help that person. This transforms your business, and what he's about to say. Go ahead. Sorry, Justin.
No, I love it. This fantastic segue. So again, and let me put it in context of maybe you being on the other side of that table. Probably some of you have been in a real estate office and you have an inspector come through and hand you a stack of cards and say, hey, I'm a great inspector. Like, and all of a sudden you just realize that they want you to be their salesperson, right? Like, here's a stack of cards, right? Or a lender comes in and does that. There's no conversation about, tell me about you, tell me about your business. How can I help you? What are you in need of? It's like, really what they're saying is, here's my business. Here's what I'm in need of. I have a problem. I don't have enough clients. You solve it for me. Right. And it's like, okay, thanks. Right. And we file those in the trash can next to us. That's essentially what I did with Ken. And I didn't realize until I just as I left the office, I was like, I don't think that's going to work, because that was a pretty brief meeting. And he took the cards and I'm sure he probably just threw them away. Right. My beautiful new business cards, and just in the garbage, right? Broke my heart. Well, I was smart enough. I was not smart enough to have that as my first attempt, but I was smart enough to not have it be my second attempt. So there was another architectural designer who the strategy here was, I went to an interior designer who loved me, right? We'd worked on some projects together. She's like, Justin, I'm your biggest fan. Like, you are up and coming. Like, you're going to be fantastic, right? We'd worked together on some of the projects in my previous employer. And I went to her, I said, Nicole, I know you know architectural designers in the area. Who do you think I should be in conversation with? And she said, Jared. Like Jared. Like, I think you guys would be great. Would you do me a favor? Would you introduce me to Jared? Here's what I would tell him about me, right? So now I'm not going in cold to Jared. I'm going in introduced, edified. Okay. So Jared took the meeting. I didn't have to just walk into his office cold and get that, oh, okay, here comes another dog and pony show, right? But Jared was willing to meet with me because I got introduced from Nicole. So what I'm telling you right now, there is somebody in your community right now who is dealing with people who need a real estate agent in the next 30 to 60 days. And they could introduce you to that person, but it depends upon your approach. And you are, if you don't already know that person, you're one warm introduction away from having that person introduce you to that business source. I'm not talking a business lead. I'm talking a source, someone who could potentially send you a new opportunity a week. Okay. But this part that I'm going to share with you is critical, because rather than going into that conversation with a stack of cards and hoping I could leave with a set of floor plans that I'm bidding on from Jared, that was not my intent. I just had to slow it down a little bit, right? Those of you that are like in a healthy, romantic relationship, you know that those oftentimes start by dating before you just get married on the first date, right? Heading to Vegas before you really know the person is not always the best idea. That doesn't always turn out, right? Like actually slow it down and date that person. Now, this process doesn't have to take more than a couple meetings. Now, I'm not talking the like marriage side. That probably will take more than a couple meetings. I'm talking about the business side. Is that when I stepped into that meeting with Jared, I said, Jared, Nicole tells me wonderful things about you. Would you do me a favor and tell me a little bit more about your business? Like, where are you at right now? Like just tell me about it. And then I asked the question. So think of that as reality. I want to hear Jared's reality right now. Tell me about your business. How long have you been doing this? Right? Keep in mind, I'm holding the microphone for Jared. I'm not hoping he holds it for me. Okay. So then at that point, I asked him, let's fast forward 5 years from now, Jared, what would be a win for you? Now I'm going out into the future, right? Like, so it's reality and then it's result. Like, what are you ultimately trying to accomplish? Like, what would be a win for you five years from now, right? And then it's the third R, which is roadblock. So it's reality, result, roadblock. Jared, what's the biggest thing that you feel like is getting in the way of you accomplishing that? Like, what's next for you? What's the next important project for you? Okay. Now at this time, right, it was kind of early 2000s. Like Jared didn't have a website yet. He didn't have a lot of marketing. Okay. So I noted that. He's like, I really want to have a presence online. And so I said, would you be open, Jared, if I knew people or could offer some help in that area? Would it be okay if I made an introduction? Like, would you be, it sounds like we've identified kind of what's next for you, which is exciting. Keep in mind, we're not talking about my business at all. We're talking about Jared's business. Okay. Then I left that meeting and I called my friend Bruce, who did websites, right? Built websites. Said, Bruce, I've got someone I want to introduce you to. So then I called Jared back, said, hey, I just spoke with my friend Bruce, who builds websites. I've been thinking about your business. That's an important thing to say. I've been thinking about you. Jared, I've been thinking about you since we met yesterday. And I spoke with my friend Bruce. He does amazing websites. Is it okay if I connect the two of you? I think Bruce might help you to achieve that presence that you're looking for. Now, it wasn't necessarily my prerogative to try and say, yeah, Jared, that's what you need, right? That could have been another step. But Jared just identified, this is what's next for me. This is the roadblock that I need to further get to that result. So long story short, Jared was like, wow, you called me the next day and you've been thinking about my business and now you're making an introduction to a guy named Bruce. Like, whoa, I usually, my standards for a builder is that they don't come in and with their muddy boots and get my carpet all dirty. And the fact that you've come in, not asked for anything and come in to say, tell me about your business. Where are you headed? How can I help? All of a sudden, Jared is like a fan of mine, right? So he said, hey, come back in. I want to hear about your business, right? So all of a sudden, in 2 meetings, 3 conversations, I'm sitting down with Jared again. Okay. And now Jared's is asking the questions about how he can help me, right? And so now all of a sudden, I have someone who is, his office is filled with my ideal clients. And my competitors, by the way, are downstream. They don't even know this conversation's happening. Now, Jared starts to open up the door. Now, I took one more step that really made this start to flow. In my next conversation with Jared, I said, tell me about your client process. Again, I found a way to get the mic back in Jared's face. I want to learn from him. And I said, do you ever do, Jared, like pre-construction job site walks before you wrap up your plans? He said, I've been inconsistent at doing that. In other words, I design a floor plan. I then meet the clients out on the site. Again, these are custom homes. And we be sure that they understand where the kitchen's going to be at, what that view is going to look like, where the sun's coming in this in the spring, where it's coming in the fall. Is the home situated on a lot exactly how you want it? And he said, I've done that inconsistent. I said, Jared, what if I were to do that for you? Like I'll wear your jersey. Like, you know what I mean? Like what if I were to just make that part of my process, whether they're working with me or not, I'll just go on behalf of you and do that. And he was like, are you serious? That would be amazing. Cause you're the one out, building it. So all of a sudden I integrated myself into Jared's client experience. Like I integrated myself into his business. Right now, I wasn't there soliciting myself, but people said, "Now, do you work with Jared?" I do. I'm actually a home builder, and this is a service that I offer free and as a value add to Jared because he's such a great architectural designer. I give my builder expertise and give him feedback on this job site walk. Now, oftentimes Jared was there with us. Sometimes he couldn't be there, but what it gave me the ability to do was to be upstream and actually integrate with my upstream partner, right? To where now it was so natural for Jared to introduce me. And he wrapped up the plans and those clients already knew me, right? So he would of course give me an opportunity to bid on that project. And oftentimes because they already had a relationship, I had the inside track. Okay. Now let's pull back and let me share what this could look like as a real estate agent.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
So I hate to cut you off because I'm like, as always, I take a bunch of notes here. And I want to just go through a couple of my notes, but I have a cutoff at 8:45 with it. And so what I want to do is this, because if you didn't, reality, result, and roadblock. And when I put the roadblock, what Justin did was he created a solution for this person's problem. And by asking the question in the script, the reason why I was writing notes why I'm going to recommend you going back to this segment right here is he gave several scripts. If you didn't catch it, those are several scripts of asking him his reality now, what does his vision look like, and finding out his friction points, and then going back to his office to figure out solutions to his friction points and then providing the value to it. And then the other key thing was he integrated himself into his business saying, let me help you with this. Let me help you with that. Because just like anything, I wrote this down, one hand washes the other. And I also wrote down the triangle of trust and how he put it into play. Now I know we're 3 minutes over. And I'm going to put all his stuff here in the chat. We have his book Upstream as well in here. But the famous question I always ask every single person before we leave. So on this Halloween, we're going to give you the treat still. Okay. There's no tricks here, John. This is the treat. I want you, Justin, could you give us, to close us out here, could you give us the one takeaway, the one thing you'd like to leave us with this morning with our audience and everything that you taught us? And everything that you have here. And guys, we're going to put his stuff in Facebook too, so you can hear more of his story and personally reach out to Justin. Justin, what would be the one thing you'd leave us with today?
Yeah. And I apologize, guys. I didn't know the cutoff. So
No,
if I can help
man.
you, I just put my Instagram handle inside of the chat here, and I'm happy to send you resources or links or whatever I can do to help. So the one kind of thing to wrap up is that there are professionals right now, right, in your marketplace, as I mentioned, who are dealing with your ideal clients, and those clients are going to need a real estate agent. They haven't chosen one yet, and they're going to. And you're literally one strategic relationship away from having a steady flow of ideal client introductions before they start talking to other real estate agents. And when you do, when you get those introductions, you're not competing. They're not swiping you like on Tinder saying next agent, next agent, right? That's not how that works. You came referred from a professional. They're going to wait for you. They'll wait for you till Monday, till you call them back, because trust was transferred from the other professional. Again, you don't need a huge network. You just need the right network, and you need the right approach. So don't go in as a solicitor, go in as a strategic partner on helping them get what they want, and you'll get what you want.
I love it. That's the Zig Ziglar approach. on what that is right there. Guys, put some fives in the chat. Put some fives in the chat. Put some love in the chat for the takeaways that this just sometimes all you might be all thinking like, I knew this. And sometimes it's not for us to learn something new, is to re-taught what we already know, but at a different level of what it is. And I love the thought process. Get his book all Upstream, because he shares this. And your homework all is this weekend, when you're eating your trick or treat bag, Amy, and you're putting some Reese's Pieces. No, Amy's not going to do that. She works out too much. She's going to have apples or something. But I want you to think about who are clients, who are people in your upstream that you can that could help you, or you can help them in your business, so you can have this type of relationship for yourself. Okay. I want you to, that's your homework this weekend, is I want you to really think about this and apply this and what he said. This will transform your business. I've seen it happen many times. Okay. I've done this with wholesaling and in dealing with investors, is talking to the investor, and I provide for the investor, and now the investor just feeds us. Okay. It's what, but you got to provide a service. You got to provide solutions for them. So Justin, I appreciate you, man, tremendously for being on here this morning and sharing with us. And guys, we put his Instagram on here, his Facebook's on here, all his information. Go reach out to this. Is what this show's all about, is to reach out to these successful people. So Justin, thank you, brother, and happy Halloween to you and your family.
Such a pleasure to be with you, Brock. I love the movement you've created here. It's an honor to be with you all. Happy Halloween. Kudos to if I could pick a winner, I think it's Robin. I just got to say that's the most creative costume I've ever seen. Anyway, so
Hands
fun.
down, Robin.
So fun. So thank you for allowing me to be here. Thanks, everybody. Happy Halloween.
All right, everybody. Have a great one. We'll be back Monday morning, 8:15 with our main man, Chad Free. I'll be driving down to Florida, so I'll see you in the car. Till then, be safe, be healthy. Have a great, happy Halloween. God bless you all. See ya.
Thanks all. See ya.
Awesome. Thank you.